Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. Hope you guys are all well on your Thursday evening. This is the big match preview as we gear up for Saturday's home game with Leicester City at the Valley. Joining me to look ahead to this clash. First up, top right, is Paul Clements. How you doing, Paul? You're on mute again, mate.
I'm off now, surely. Yeah.
Yep.
Great, brilliant. Bad start to the show, but good to be here, Louis. Thanks very much, and yeah, can't wait to hunt down those foxes.
Should be a very interesting game on Saturday. Also joining us bottom right is Mr. Lewis Catt. How you doing, Lou?
Yeah, I'm really good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. The star of last week's Meet the Directors, I noticed. Yeah, front and
I don't know if I could say the star, but I gave it a good go. The thing is, the football's going well when you don't get many questions in. So It was tough thinking on my feet, but it seems to go well. So yeah, it's always good that things are going well.
Excellent stuff. Well, another sign that the football is going well is that Tash has managed to drag herself away from wherever she's been on holiday for the last year and a half or whatever it was. Great to have you back on the pod, Tash. How you doing?
Hello, mate. Yeah, thank you. It's good to be back. I didn't miss anything, did I?
Yeah, just the small matter of well, I think I'm fairly confident when you left, we were on the verge of getting relegated into League Two. So since you come back, it's obviously must be a nice surprise to see that we're in the Championship and started really well as well. So on today's show, then we will of course look ahead to that game with Leicester City. We're going to hear from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones, ahead of that clash with the Foxes. We're going to hear from Jack, who's a Leicester fan from the Final Whistle channel as well, Leicester content creator. He's going to tell us all about Marty Cifuentes' side. We're also going to hear from Nathan Jones on transfers as well. He had a little comment to say about potential, maybe room for a little bit more business to be done. So we'll hear from Nathan again later on in the show. We want to hear from you guys as well. Good evening to everyone joining us in the chat. Sam, our very own first one in there, saying good evening as well. Mr. Curly Whirly said Saturday will be his first game back and he's excited to see the lads live in action. Has heard good things so far. Well, there have been some pretty good things so far, Mr. Curly Whirly. All hell let loose is in there. Colin from Oregon says Saturday's a 4:30 a.m. kickoff for him. Looking forward to it. That's a nasty one, isn't it? And Shiny Phil says, evening addicts, tonight in honour of Meatball Mendes, I shall be eating meatballs during Charlton Live. And if you haven't been looking at Richard Corley's Twitter over the last couple of days, you'll be wondering how on earth have I got that nickname. Probably for the obvious reasons, actually, when it was Meatball Mendes. I've been eating a lot of meatballs, apparently. So, yeah, let us know your thoughts ahead of Saturday's game. 12:30 kickoff. Don't forget, get there nice and early. Get there even earlier and go to the River Ale House, which is opening at 10. So you can have your pints before the game if you want to. But, yeah, get there nice and early for the game. Let us know how you're feeling. Email us, studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or you can put a live chat in the YouTube chat section as well. Let us know your feelings ahead of Saturday. Who would you make any changes? How do you see the game going? Let us know your thoughts. Paul, it's big one Saturday. We've started really well. 4 points from a possible 6. Still no goals conceded. We look like we're very much at home in the Championship, but will this be on paper our biggest test yet? A side that's just come down from the Premier League, albeit one that ain't started as well as perhaps some people might have expected.
Yeah, probably. I think that, well, on paper, right? Then they're the two key words, on paper. So when you look at the squads and team sheets of our Championship opponents thus far in Watford and Bristol City, there are probably 2 or 3 names that I could pluck out and think, oh, I'm going to keep an eye on them, and I reckon they could impact the game and be a danger to us. You look at this Leicester squad, and albeit they've just come down from the Premier League, it's kind of littered with very capable players. And they've also got 1 or 2 out, like Bobby Decordova-Reid, for example. That sort of standard and quality is not what we've been facing for a long time. And so I'm really interested in how we actually cope playing with this team. And I say that because regardless of their results so far, which they've seen obviously the win against Sheffield Wednesday late in the day, and then the recent loss at Preston in the league, and then the loss on penalties against Huddersfield, the bottom line is you look at their stats, they've had a lot of possession in those games, and in their first game, a lot of chances as well. So if it clicks for them, I think we could have a very tough afternoon. If they continue with the same sort of outcomes in their game, which has been a bit lackadaisical, as I understand it from hearing some of their fans' commentaries, then I'd hope we'd fare better, and we'll be resolute and create some chances ourselves and give ourselves a chance of getting some points.
Yeah, well, Keith in the chat saying it's probably a good time to play them before they get into their stride. Sam saying, have I lost the plot, thinking maybe we're favourites for Saturday. Liam says, I'm confident we're going to win on Saturday. Leicester have started poorly, and we have Nathan Jones. It's slightly unnerving, Lewis, to feel like normally, back in the League One days, we'd feel favourites going into most games and it not pan out. But can we go as far as saying favourites Saturday? I certainly feel. I feel like it's there for the taking. Whether I'd say we're favourites, I don't think we're going to say that a lot this season against sides that have just come down from the Prem. But it does feel a little bit like they're here for the taking.
Yeah, I think the timing for us to play them is right. I think that there's a little bit of unrest at Leicester at the moment. Obviously, had a poor season last year back in the Premier League. They've had some stuff going on off the field with with financial regulations and things like that. They've obviously lost Jamie Vardy in the summer, big player for them for a very long time. Haven't really replaced him, and they've had a fairly underwhelming start to the season. I mean, they've beaten Sheffield Wednesday late, as Paul said, but disappointing last week against Preston. And there seems to be a little bit of unrest there. And we're obviously a team that we've come up from League One and we've come out of the blocks, fighting really quickly. We look really well organised at the back. I know Leicester are a Premier League side last season, but the organisation that we've got in place at the back, especially, I just feel so much more confident going into these games than maybe I should do. But at home, I just fancy us to beat anybody because it just feels like a bit of a fortress at the moment. We've got fans really on side. The atmosphere generated against Watford was outstanding. The away following at Bristol City, even better. We're going to make the Valley a really difficult place to come. And I think that when you're a team that's a little bit in the ascendancy off the field and on the field, where everything feels positive, everything seems to be clicking, everything's going well. When you're playing a Premier League side, whilst the quality is there, maybe the confidence isn't. And I totally agree with the comments we're getting in. I think the timing of playing Leicester City at the moment is perfect for us. I mean, let's not bookmark what I say right now, just in case it all goes wrong. But I would say I'm feeling, when the fixtures came out, I flagged this as a difficult test. But actually, I think it's the start to our season has been the perfect test. We've had Watford, who are an established Championship club, haven't really set the world like the last few seasons. We managed to beat them. Bristol City were, in the playoffs last season, fighting for Premier League football. We got a fantastic point there and probably should have beaten them. Now we're playing that next step up, which was a team that were in the Premier League last season. So how we compete will be a real marker for how I think we're going to get on this year. But the timing and the fact that we're at home, I don't think it could be any better.
Yeah, Stuart says Bristol City was a step up from Watford and Leicester will be another step up from Bristol City. I'd be happy with a point. Tom says will definitely be our toughest game so far, but at the same time, having a packed out Valley for me gives us the upper hand as well. Be interesting to see if Jones changes anything. So Tash, you were obviously, you disappeared for a little while. No one knows where you went, but you're back now. And the change in that ground from your last game before you went away to what you saw against Watford, I mean, you must have felt like you just arrived in a different world. I'm really fascinated to understand how it looked to you to be in that ground without having, obviously you would have watched it from afar, but to not have been there as we grew in the second half of last season, just to step into a valley that's so different to what it was, and how much you feel that must have an effect on the side with the crowd so numerous and so clearly behind the team as well.
No, I wanted to bring this up because that's one of the biggest takeaways I had from last Saturday. Sorry, Saturday before. Obviously, when I left, we drew 0-0 with Reading. That was my last game. Obviously, saw us beat Northampton 5-0 and all that sort of stuff. But there was no way I thought when I went away that we were going to be in the playoffs. I probably wouldn't have gone away if I thought that, but no complaints. But no, it is huge, and I can't even really explain. I mean, you know, as you said, I watched it when I was away at stupid times in the morning a lot of the time. And you can obviously get a feel for what the value would be like from being there previously myself in big atmospheres. And we played Donny at home and all this sort of stuff. But like actually seeing it in the flesh was obviously like, it was actually kind of emotional in a way, because obviously when we left, I thought, right, it's just going to probably be, unfortunately, and I didn't really expect us to get promoted last season, if I'm being honest. Like first full season for Nathan Jones, I kind of thought it's going to be, he needs a full season, then maybe next year we go for it like this year. But I think coming back, even looking at how professional things look now at the Valley, like all the old advertising stuff has gone, like it just looks more professional, like everything, there's bigger crowds, obviously. But as you know, watching the playoff final from, I think I was in Bali at the time, and watching the semi-final with Matty Gordon scoring that winner, like the atmosphere I could feel from there. But even then, I know it wasn't as big of a game against Watford, but the difference between the Reading game and that was crazy. So yeah, it feels like the club's had a transplant, personality transplant in the 6 months that I've been away. But obviously it's really great to see, and yeah, I'm buzzing to be back to witness it all now.
Yeah, and it is such a nice place to be now, the Valley, such an exciting place. Just a buzz on a match day. Like the only slight concern is obviously how busy the Valley Calf gets now. But even then, I've managed to get a seat every time so far, so we should be all right. Chris says, looking forward to Saturday. Reckon we can nick the 3 points or half a portion of meatballs, as Mendes would say. I mean, our home form, Paul, is obviously it's unbelievable. Still no defeat now since December. Will that put some sort of fear into sides coming to the Valley? They know they won't get an easy game against us. I think that's going to be the case, home or away this season, particularly with as we said, our home form, our home atmosphere at the moment. I just feel like I feel it's one of those fixtures at the moment that teams will look at and go, I don't really fancy that. That's not the easiest fixture we could have hoped for this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think inevitably if a team that's like Fortress Valley, Fortress Valley of old, Fortress Valley right now, when you've got that kind of moniker and sort of like you've got that feeling around the club, no team will fancy coming because they'll know that they'll have to put in an exceptional shift to take anything away from the ground. But I would say that probably the same applies to playing Charlton right now, and it has been the case for some time. No quarters given, whether we're home or away. We're kind of putting in exactly the same work rate. Everybody's applying themselves up and down the pitch. They're putting their bodies on the line in the defence. The forwards, no matter how many chances are being created, nobody can fault their work rate and how much they're pressing, etc. So I think all clubs that are spending any time just looking at highlights and getting a sense of what teams are doing, they'll all recognise that playing Charlton right now is going to be a really difficult test for them, just because we're going to make them work so hard for anything in the game. And that added challenge of coming to a packed out Valley. And I've got to say, similar to Tash, I mean, not just at home and away, our crowd, when it gets going, has been absolutely exceptional. It makes the hair stand on your neck, and it's a fantastic feeling to be back into that zone after a pretty lethargic, non-plus kind of fan base for a while, when we've been going through all the turmoil with recent ownerships before this latest crop turned up. So, I mean, it will be a challenge, and I'm really pleased that will be the case, and long may it continue. And I think I mentioned on Sunday, and this is what I love most about Nathan Jones's style of management. Inevitably, we're going to get beaten at some point, whether it is home or away. But you just know he's going to instill exactly the same attitude, discipline, and expectation of that squad for that very next game. And that's what will always this season, I think, make it difficult for Championship sides to play against us.
Yeah, Stephen in the chat says, I think we'll only really learn about where we are if and when we go a goal behind. It's going to be devastating when we get to the end of the season, Stephen, and we still don't know who we are because we haven't conceded a goal all season. But that's the rate we're going at the moment. Chris says, watching Leicester's highlights, they look to seriously struggle defending in transitions. Think this is the perfect team to face for a Nathan Jones system. Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting. I mean, all hell let loose about Marty Cifuentes seems to be struggling at Leicester. I think we'll learn a little bit more about him when Jack comes on later on in the show. But when sometimes teams get stuck in that downward spiral, don't they? So we've seen it. I mean, look at Shrewsbury, for example, lower league opposition, and obviously Luton have come down from Prem to League One. You get sides that just get stuck in a death spiral and they can't seem to shake it off, Lewis. And that's why, I mean, a couple of people have mentioned the first goal being so important on Saturday. Obviously, the way that we defend once getting in the lead, we saw that all of last season, is an element of that. But also, there'll be partly, it's unusual to turn an away end, but it sounds like this is what happened at Preston. They went behind and their away fans started getting nervy, and that was resonating onto the pitch. They ended up losing that game. If we can get that first goal and get them a bit feeling a bit uneasy, then that could be massive for us. I mean, the only other time obviously we've had a first goal this season, we went on to win because we only had to defend for about 12 seconds after. But still, it could be big.
100%. Yeah, I think the Valley, as I say, the Valley's critical, and for a team that are struggling a little bit for confidence, and up at Preston, which I imagine doesn't generate the sort of noise that we do or the numbers that we do in terms of people. If they're struggling up there, then coming to the Valley at the moment, if we're going off Watford at home as a marker, then it's going to be a really intimidating place for teams to come, which is excellent. And I think that all filters down from Nathan. Like Nathan said so many times, that we have to make the Valley a fortress. We have to make it our place. And if we come into this division as underdogs, people writing us off, we've even kicked a ball. But our home form cannot be questioned. And if we can keep that rolling into this season, then we've got absolutely no worries with being dragged into a fight for sure. And it just shows how crucial that home form is. And we saw it obviously the back end of last season. You think that run between December and now is unbelievable. I can't remember the last time we've been on a run like this. I mean, I couldn't even tell you. So it shows it's obviously taken time to get there. There were times last season where it wasn't going quite right early on. There were some questions thrown at Nathan, as he likes to remind us every presser. But he's turned that around. I think a lot of credit needs to go to Nathan, because he has made Charlton a very, very tough place to go, and all in all made Charlton Athletic a very, very tough team to play against, which I think we've had such a soft underbelly for so many years. Nathan's come in and changed that, and that's going to be what carries us through in this division. Of course, as Paul said, there are going to be times this season where we do lose games. That's just standard. That's football. But I can't see us getting a drubbing. Like, I just can't see us being rolled over 4 or 5-0 in this league by anybody, by Ipswich, Southampton, whoever, Birmingham, whoever are going to be at the top. Can't see any of them rolling us over. And maybe coming into this division previously under Bo and at times before, I'd think there was potential that we would. But just under Nathan, with the defence we've got, the way we've been playing at home especially, I just can't see that happening. And that's huge, because then it keeps those margins fine in games. And at home especially, I think we've got what it takes to keep, if we do go a goal behind, I have every faith that we're going to react and get ourselves back into games. And but it's going to be critical, that home form this year. Yeah,
Span says he thinks that 95% of our success at the moment is down to Nathan Jones. It's slightly worrying if he ever leaves, but right now he seems a perfect fit. Well, let's hear from the man himself, Nathan Jones. I sat down for his presser with Terry earlier on today. Start of this clip, he's speaking about the squad, including Will Mannion, who wasn't on the bench down at Bristol City.
Had a minor accident which stopped him, but he's back training fully. We've had Rhys Burke back in training this week, so look, we're in a relatively better position than we were, albeit we're in quite a good position anyway.
We played a side that finished mid-table in the Championship last season, a side that finished in the Championship playoffs. last season, and next up we've got a side that were in the Premier League last season. That progression of challenges, is that sort of symptomatic of the journey we've always talked about?
Well, it's the league, you know. I mean, if there isn't many teams in the Championship who haven't been in the Premier League. It's probably a good quiz question. So week in, week out, we're going to have Premier League or ex-Premier League challenges. We're going to have teams that have finished high in the Championship. Teams that, it's all this, but this is the league. It's a fantastic league. It's a wonderful league. It's a challenging league, and we're relishing every single moment of it.
Do you allow yourself time in the midst of what is obviously a hectic and demanding schedule to reflect on that bit of journey that we're on?
No, not anymore. I mean, we do that. We know we do that with the hierarchy at the club. But when we reach certain stages, and then look, now it's on to the next challenge. There's nothing reminiscing about now. We meet in this challenge head on. We know where we want to go. This is all part of the journey. This is not our destination. We've said that. We keep saying that, and we want to be bold in fulfilling that.
The Valley will once again be rocking on Saturday, as it was in the opening game of the season. Especially with the players that have been here a little while. Have they mentioned to you just how different it is now compared to maybe when they first came?
Well, I feel it myself, you know, with the greatest respect. I was with Johnny Jackson the other day that said he hadn't seen the Valley like it was for the Wycombe game. So then now, week in, week out, you know, when we first came, there was probably 9, 10, 11,000. You know, I remember the Lincoln game on the Tuesday night. You know, when you watch the game back, there's empty sections of the ground everywhere. That's not the case now. And you know, bear in mind we are getting big crowds for August, which is notoriously the worst month because people are on holidays and so on. It means that we're in a good place. The club's in a good place. We're starting to believe in something together. There's a collective focus on what we want to achieve from owners to decision makers to staff to fans to community. Everything we have now, we're in one direction. That's what we want to go to. So what we have to do is continue that, because as we keep saying, this is not our destination. We want this to be part of the journey, and we're in a good moment, but good moments can come and go. What we want to be is constantly improving, and that's the striving thing we have here.
There we go. That's Nathan looking ahead to Saturday's game with Leicester City and talking a little bit about the mood around the camp, which is clearly very, very good at the moment, Tash. Team news then. So, I mean, Josh Edwards came off against Bristol City, but there's no indication that he's not going to be able to play Saturday. It sounds like he's going to be fine. We've been unchanged in both the league games so far. Does that change for you at all this weekend? Is there anyone you'd want to give a go to or anything like that?
Yeah, so Jones obviously saying about Reece Burt being fit. Not that I would put him in the starting lineup, but that's just an interesting thing to see. Obviously, I think we were saying in the WhatsApp chat that Alex Mitchell going out on loan sort of suggested that he was going to come back anyway. But yeah, if he might be on the bench, might give a few minutes if we're doing well at the end, or get some extra defenders on. But yeah, I personally don't think Jones will change it. I mean, I always say this, but if it's not broken, don't fix it. I think you can make an argument that, you know, you could start Tanto and Lee Burn like he did in the League Cup. That ended up quite well. Obviously, Miles getting a goal and an assist, and Tanto getting the assist for Lee Burn's goal. But if I'm being honest, judging off what I heard about Bristol and watching the Watford game, you're better off bringing them off the bench. Especially, I mean, it's with teams are knackering like Watford were in that 70th minute or whenever Jones made those changes and brought Nibs on and everyone else. Like that is such a weapon for us. Our bench is incredible. I think that's something that last season, I don't think at the start I would have really said that. Going more into the playoffs, it was a lot stronger, but I think that is such a weapon for us. So, you know, even if I don't like saying this when we're playing at home, but I'm not mad at the idea of keeping things level, hopefully going a goal up or something, and then throwing the kitchen sink up a little bit at the end if we have to, because we can do that. I don't think we need to change it, is my honest opinion. I've seen, you know, people say maybe Rankin Costello could get a go in there and start, because, you know, I think every player has more than stepped up to the Championship this season. I don't think there's really a weak link in our side that I could spot. But I've seen some people suggest maybe Ryan Costello for Doherty after his League Cup performance. Other than that, genuinely, I mean, Nibs could be in with a shout of starting, but again, I just wouldn't change it if this is what's been working. I mean, obviously, I didn't go to Bristol City, so I don't quite know how well we were creating chances. It didn't sound like it was just a case of parking 10 men behind the ball and hoping something sticks. It sounds like we did do a lot more than that. You know, I saw some of Apta's crosses and was pretty amazed at the highlights. He's an amazing signing, clearly already. And hopefully him, TC, and Kelman will, get some goal contributions, because the only glaring thing, I suppose, from the two opening fixtures is we've only scored one goal. And that's not me being critical, because I will take that all day long. The fact that we beat Watford in the last minute with one goal and drawing 0-0 at Bristol City after what they did to Sheffield United. But I suppose that's anything you could question. But for me, I don't think he's going to change it. I don't feel like he needs to.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he will change it. But Rustos has said he'd like to see the front two change. He'd like to see Campbell come out and Tanto go in. Alex said Leeburn and Alafe worked well against Stevenage, but there's a big level gap between Stevenage and Leicester. Yeah, a couple of people saying Nibs. Rustos saying he won't want to be on the bench forever. Chris is saying maybe let Leeburn batter Vestgaard for 70 minutes, slowest defender at this level, and will be knackered. More space in behind as the game opens up later on, and then bring on Kelman for the last 20 to run in behind him. I mean, Paul, particularly Kelman, I guess I think so. It's not entirely clear what happened, but after the game over the weekend, his Instagram apparently disappeared for a while. It's there yet last night when I looked, it was there, so I missed all this excitement. But whether that was because he was feeling down about the performances, I don't know, because he's been quiet, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's been bad. You'd say he's been bad if he'd had 5 shots and they'd all hit the corner flag. He hasn't had the chance to do that yet. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any plan to change it or anything at this moment in time. I just think it'd be too soon, especially when I've been saying all week, like, the way that we play evolves as the season goes on, and I still expect it to evolve a bit more for Kelman to get more chances, but it hasn't happened yet. So how can you say he's not done anything yet when he hasn't had the chance to?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a risk that all of us Charlton fans, because we're unbeaten in 3 games, get a bit carried away in terms of where we are actually as a team. There's a lot of new players in this squad, and there's a lot of new players in the first team that are finding their feet and learning to play the game with one another. And that includes, I mean, Apta's been really exciting to see, and he's got a lot of good crosses in, but those good crosses are good crosses if you've got somebody like a target man like Leeburn in the middle, or Leeburn and Nibs in the middle, because the height of them is just never going to work for a player like Charlie Kelman, who's probably about 1.5 feet too short to really make use of them. So point being is, as the team get to work more and more together in training and in matches, they're going to learn that you're going to need to fizz crosses lower so that Kelman can feed off of it. And if you've seen highlight reels of Kelman last season, etc., it's playing off those balls on the ground, etc., and the strikes. He's not had those opportunities yet. So I can well imagine, as a striker that's hungry to get his first goal for the club, he's bound to feel a little bit low, because he'll be frustrated that he's not had the number of chances that he'd want in a game. He's not had the chance to test the keeper as much as he'd like to. He had that one flick against Watford. So I completely get where he'll be, but that's exactly when the manager and the coaching team come into play and reinforce the importance of him to the team and the squad, and let him go again and get the team working in and around him, and make sure that they feed him the chances. And if he misses all those chances consistently over a game or two, yeah, of course, in my opinion, you then take that player out and you give another a go and you try something different. But he's nowhere near that. And I've got to say, if he did come off of Insta or any other social media because of abuse or anything like that at this stage, then that's just, I think, completely uncalled for, and it's unacceptable. And I'd be surprised if that was driven by Charlton fans. I'd hope not. I would imagine it's just, I don't know, situation. Maybe it was a refresh or whatever, but he's up there now, so that's good to see. And I think just as a fan base, we need to get behind him, and we need to ensure that kind of we watch what he does and how he fits in with the team when they really genuinely start to create some chances. And I do think in this game we will, because you mentioned Vestergaard. He's a 33-year-old defender. He's not at his finest any longer. I actually, for that reason, I think he is good in the air. I wouldn't play Leeburn, because I think he similarly to Jones at the other end would just keep on heading away, because Leeburn doesn't have the greatest strength in aerially despite his height. He's very, very good with his feet. So I wouldn't actually play Leeburn against him. I'd keep it on the floor, and I'd have either TC and Tanto and Kelman just playing through them. And I think they'll struggle, and I think more chance will be created in this game as a result.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the one chance he did have. He got an effort on target, which it wasn't even a chance, really, that shot from TC that he flicked goalwards and made the keeper work. I was going to say, again, we as fans will have a part to play in that as well, and everyone in the chat has been really supportive. Rustos saying Kelman will be fine. I have faith. He's a great player. It took Matty Godden a while to get up to speed. The abuse, I think, could have been by QPR and Orient fans. Stephen says Kelman needs at least 10 games. The lad deserves a chance from what he achieved last season. And Dean says Kelman was a slow starter at Orient last season and kicked on after Christmas. Yeah, Liam's saying Nibs he thinks will be a starter for the rest of the season. There will, like I say, there will be a point where obviously the team will change, and then it'll be up to people to not lose their place. And you feel Nibs feels like one of the ones that will be in the squad long term, but then exactly where he fits, because obviously Carey behind the striker has done really well so far and links up nicely with Apter. So does he play a deeper midfield role? Who knows? Someone said further up in the chat, it's nice that we're having these conversations, because it shows that the squad's got some decent depth at the moment, and lots of potential there to see how that plays out, which will be good. Yeah, Sheepy saying love that having such squad depth is causing a selection headache. First time we've had such a problem. Danny says Jones has found his team except Doherty. He'll change the front two after 65 or 70 minutes. Most weeks. I mean, I thought, I think I mentioned it maybe last week. I thought Doc did quite well last week. It'd be interesting to see his interception and tackling stats, because I feel like they'll be higher than people realise. But yeah, that'll be something we can have a look at maybe later on in the show. Right, let's have a quick break. When we come back, we will look ahead to the game from a Leicester City point of view. We'll see you in 30 seconds or so.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live. This is the big match preview. We are gearing up for Saturday's 12:30 kickoff at the Valley against Leicester City. Delighted to say now that we're joined by Jack from the Final Whistle, who's going to tell us all about Martí Cifuentes' side. Excellent pronunciation, even if I say so myself. Jack, good to see you, my friend. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm still getting over that Preston defeat, but I think I'm as good as we can be as Leicester fans at the minute.
Excellent. Well, hopefully, I'm glad you got your practice in getting over a defeat, because hopefully there'll be another one coming on Saturday, of course. Tell us a little bit about what's going on up there then, because I'm getting the impression that it's not a massively happy camp up at the King Power at the moment. What's been going on?
Yeah, it's not an happy camp. Obviously, we're still thinking about the possible points deduction scenario. We're a squad that's heavily bloated due to the amount of players we've got. We've sold Ndidi. We've sold Mads Hermansen, Connor Cody, and it looks like Bilal El-Khanous could be very much close to leaving. And we've had a lot of players linked with leaving the football club, but not players we'd we'd probably want to leave the football club, to be fair. We'd probably want a few others in the names of Buba Samora and that. But yeah, we've not really had many players come in. We've had Begovic come in. We've got a new manager, new style of football, a new project, which he paid to come to Leicester City, Marty Cifuentes. So yeah, he's trying to get his foot in the camp quite quickly at Leicester and stamp out all the crap basically from these players who it looks like bloody, what is it, like player power, whatever it is. And yeah, things are just not looking great for Leicester at the minute, on and off the pitch. And yeah, we don't know what's going to happen at the weekend. And that Preston defeat, I want to kind of put it far away from my memory as possible, I'm afraid.
Jack, it's lovely to have you on the show. I'm Paul. I mean, it's kind of a little bit weird. We were saying earlier on in the show how much talent there actually is in the squad. You look down on paper and you've got an incredible list of players, some of which appear to be worth, between 10, 30 million pound plus. So really, really good talent. But there seems also to be a fair bit of unrest. And I'm not sure if that's because some of those players actually think they should still be playing at the Premier League or in the top division. So what are you Leicester fans making of it? I mean, are there a bunch of players that you just want out of the club regards to their talent with players that really want to fight for Leicester, or where you at with the players staying, going, and who would you want in?
It's a mentality thing. Cooper didn't get the best out of it. I mean, what did he spend? £80 million last summer. Wasn't fancied by the Leicester fans at all. Just never going to work out. I think we still would have gone down with Steve Cooper, by the way. We ended up bringing Oliver Skipp in for like £25 million. Brought Jordan Ayew in. We went experience over quality, and you can't do that when you go up to the Premier League. You've got a squad who some probably think they're better than what they are. That some have got very much a year left on the contract, so you want to kind of get rid of them players, but they're on high wages demands, in it, of like 80 grand, 70 grand, and it's like, who's going to pay them types of stupid wages? And we're stupid enough to give out these wages, so that's down to the club. Harry Winks, I don't know if you've seen the Preston video, just walks down the tunnel at full time, didn't even acknowledge the Leicester fans. And you look at them types of players, if they don't want to be at Leicester City, then basically F off, innit? Bring players in that actually want to play for the shirt and give everything. So it's a bit worrying. We need a striker. We're not exactly firing in front of goal. Ayew and Patson Daka, we've been relied on now since Jamie Vardy's left. So it's worrying, because in the Championship, you always look at the first thing of who's going to score your goals. Can the team actually contribute a lot more? And it's got to be spread along the team. So this is a problem in itself. We've got some good players. Fatawu, Jeremy Monga, 16 years old, and he's now become the youngest ever goal scorer in the second tier of the English football. So yeah, he's highly rated. Mavididi, we know what he can do in the Championship, but then you just look at some of the players of the attitude problems and that, where you sort of think, yeah, we don't want to be playing them types of players. But if we don't play them types of players, how many players have we actually got left in the squad to even field an 11s? You're not going to get rid of everybody, but it's finding a way to actually find a way of getting rid of these players and finding a happy camp again. I think this is what Marty Cifuentes is really going to struggle with.
Hi, Jack. Thanks so much for coming on. So I saw that Abdul Fatawu, your winger, after your 2 undefeated at Preston, did a whole Instagram post sort of, I'm sure his heart was very much in the right place, but it sort of divided your fan base a little bit. For context, he basically asked fans not to leave early, didn't he? And said, we need you when the team's winning. We also need you when you're losing. Did you think that was a fair assessment of the situation, or what were your thoughts on asking for that?
I think with Abdul, it's the timing of it. I think that's what's pissed us off the most. Players, you want players to come out and talk to the fans, don't you? But then they need to stop realising what the fans are doing and actually focus on their own performances. That's what I'd sort of say on it. You can sort of see both sides of it. You can see he's come out from a good place. He cares about the football club and wants the best. But you need to focus on what your teammates are doing. If they're not giving 100%, you need to have been having words with them in the dressing room and not the fans. The fans have a right to frustrate their opinions on the players, to be fair. If your players don't care and they're strolling around the pitch and you're going losing games in the way you are, then you can understand fans, they pay good money, they travel up and down the country to watch the team, so they have a right to criticise. And Yeah, I love Abdul to bits. You know, it's good to see that he has come out. You know, you want to hear it from players who we're not giving enough for this team. That's where I'd want to hear it from. But he's a fan's favourite. We love him to bits. But I think the timing was where we sort of looked at it. To be fair, we were still pissed off with the Preston defeat. So yeah, that's how it sort of went down, and it divided maybe a little bit.
Hi, Jack.
Hello.
Going to be an interesting game on Saturday. You've got, freshly relegated Leicester versus newly promoted Charlton. We've been quite interested as a fan base in how other fans see Charlton this season, because I think before a ball was kicked, a lot of teams and a lot of fans, vloggers had written us off as relegation favourites. We've obviously started the season quite well. How do Leicester fans feel coming into the game Saturday? Obviously up against a side where maybe the confidence is a little bit higher, the mood's a bit more positive off the back of promotion. How do Leicester fans see us as a difficult test this weekend, or do you expect as a side that's just come out of the Premier League to be beating a team that's come up from League One?
That's the mentality you can't have going into these types of games. I think that's what we did against Preston. You know, we've rolled up thinking it's going to be a walk in the park and we'll go and win the game quite convincingly. We didn't. You know, you've got to put performances to get the wins these days. Football's not a game where you're given right results to win games, so you've got to earn it. That's what we've got to do at the weekend. Charlton, I have had them to stay up this season, so I think that is happy ears to you lot. I think you lot have had a good window. Charlie Kelman, I think, is a good player. I was quite surprised that QPR got rid of him, to be fair. So, you know what? Nathan Jones, I think he's going to make it a colossal the Valley this season, where he's going to make it teams for even Leicester to come to. I think it's a tough test. You lot are still bouncing after that promotion. You've had 4 points in your first 2 games, which I think is good for a opposing side. If you look what Oxford did last season, I think Charlton will do the same, because everyone's written you off already. So, yeah, I think it'll be a tough game for Leicester. It's no easy game going to the Valley. I don't even think we've got a great record going there, to be honest. I remember that FA Cup win in 2005 when Dean Dublin scored. But last time we visited you lot, a certain French player scored who Leicester fans despise, by the way. So, yeah, I'm expecting a tough game from you lot, to be fair. And your mentality going into this game is going to be better than ours. Ours is a bit more about how we actually turn up. Can we turn up is the question. I'm bloody hoping we do.
Probably not a good sign when you're trying to find your form at the Valley, when you have to get the Homes Under the Hammer presenter to score for your last winner. I was going to ask you actually, but I'm not sure this is as clever a question as it sounds. When I was doing the stats, I put the one that's scrolling along the bottom of the screen there about your away form not being very good. You haven't won on the road since Spurs in January, but really that's just Premier League football, isn't it? If you're not a good side in the Premier League, yet your home form is not going to be good as well. So I don't think, can we read too much into that? Obviously, you did lose the game at Preston, but is that a hangover from last year, your away form?
I just don't think you can read into stats sometimes. It's who the best team is on the day. Leicester's away form's been horrible to watch. We've took some batterings last season in the Prem, but the squad just wasn't good enough at all. You know, it's good enough to do well in the Championship. Well, we'd hope that in pre-season we looked at our squad and thought, you know what, it'd be good enough to actually compete. But then you sort of look at the game against Preston, our away form, it's horrible. And you're thinking, how do we turn that around? But then it's the squad that you've got is the problem. And the mentalities, again, with players who want out of the football club, you need to count on them players. You've got Harry Winks, very good experienced player, good midfielder, but where's his head at? You need a squad that's very much focused in these games. And the Premier League were difficult for Leicester last year. I went home and away with them. What would you end up with? 25 points in the league. So we've come into the Championship. Everyone's written us off. I think someone even laughed at us and said we're going to finish 14th. Well, I think that was where points deduction, by the way. But no, I don't think we can read too much into records. I think Leicester are these over the years sides where we've looked at teams and thought, yeah, we might actually win it, but then we seem like a side who just hand these teams 3 points easy, or a player hadn't scored for about 50 years or whenever it was, and then they seem to get one against us. So, yeah, that's something I'm hoping Charlton fans don't read much into and think, yeah, maybe it might be a convincing, better Charlton win for you like the weekend, and maybe don't write us off. That's what I'd say.
Excellent stuff. Well, Jack, thanks for your time this evening. Really good to hear that Leicester are at 6s and 7s at the moment, but I'm sure it'll be an interesting game on Saturday. So, yeah, cheers for your time.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
That's Jack from the Final Whistle, Leicester content creator. Tom Wallen is going to go and join him later on this evening to have a chat as well. So, yeah, great to hear that Leicester, they don't, as we were saying earlier, Paul, they don't sound massively comfortable at the moment. But Paul says, I mean, no complacency. I mean, we can't be complacent against. I mean, and then Charlie's followed up with, I've heard enough. We're going to win 6-0. So, no complacency there in the chat, of course, but. No matter Leicester on a bad day, you know, struggling a little bit for confidence, would still beat, I should imagine, quite a few sides in the Championship this season because of the quality they've got. So it's all well and good hearing all that, but we've still got to turn up on the day and do what we do best and be the best version of ourselves, and then we will have a good chance.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And we, as I say, the discipline that's being instilled, the togetherness, the fans being with all the players on the pitch, cheering them on, that all will create the right environment for us to go out and try to get those 3 points. And I think, as Lewis mentioned earlier, I think the biggest problem for Leicester right now is that if they do go a goal down, or if they're under the cosh continuously for the first 5-10 minutes, there's every chance with the mood the Leicester fans are in that they're going to turn on them. And you just play on that. And I'm sure that Nathan will be instilling that into his players as well. Just thrive off of their negativity and build your confidence into the game. So I think we can't be complacent at all. We've got to play exactly the same way as we have done in the first 2 games. But if we do that, and knowing that they've got both an error in them at the back, which is absolutely clear from having looked at all the highlights of their game so far. And also you have got a few players, if Marty decides to carry on playing them in this game, because that's the other thing, he could just change it up. If there's players whose heads aren't in the right space and he's as competent a manager as he appears, like with his record, etc., you would imagine that he's thinking, right, it's time to take Harry Winks out, or, you know, Bilal El Khanous, let's take him out as well. I mean, there is that chance that they'll freshen it up, and such is the depth of their squad. It could be a lot tougher game than we're imagining, but it's our job to enforce our playing style, get on the ball, try to get a bit more possession in our first 3 games. And I was looking at the stats and I couldn't believe it. I actually double checked this. We've had the same percentage stats, 42% in our first 3 games, both the league games and the cup game. Dead on 42 with a little bit of rounding, like 0.1, 0.2% difference. But point being, we would really at home, hopefully with teams that actually aren't firing with all their confidence, maybe creep that up and put them under pressure. And if we can get that early goal, that's when I think there's a chance that we could kick on and win this one.
I love that. I love that percentage, and even the rounding that gets me going. That does numbers, you know me, Paul. Right, yeah. Nathan won't accept any complacency. Paul Fox has said that. Steve Salter has said that. As Alan said, we just got to do our job. And you're right. I mean, no matter, fans may be getting complacent, but there's no way that that Nathan will have the players doing that at all. Right. There's been a little bit of in and outs in terms of the loan players over the last few weeks. Obviously, we're all outs, no ins. But Nathan Jones was asked to speak about transfers earlier on today. So let's just have a little listen to what the Addicts boss had to say.
For about last week, at least, about streamlining the squad. No, we've done that before. Since then, Alex, Gassan and Kahim have all gone out on loan. Do you envisage any more going out on loan? Are you happy with where we are now, regardless of whether you bring anybody more in?
Well, look, what we want to do is just add. We probably want to add, at least one body. We know the position that we need it, and maybe to do that, we want to make sure that our numbers are good. Now, as I said, the club have been amazing in backing us. They trusted us to then put players out to keep developing the asset, and we've done that. You know, Gaston's got a really good move and started very well. Alex Mitchell has got a move, and we're delighted to see that Kahim's gone and is in a wonderful place there. It's important that if they're not going to impact on us now, it's important that we keep them moving forward, keep developing the asset and sending them to the right clubs, and we feel we've done that, along with Terry Taylor going and sort of rekindling his relationship with Northampton. We're very pleased with the business we've done.
There you go. That's Nathan speaking about. Well, he spoke about the players that have gone out, but I mean the bit that pricked my ears up immediately, Lewis, was the fact that suggesting that maybe there might be room for one more coming in. What position do you think Nathan would be targeting? I think we've all got a rough idea of what we think it would be, but if I were to put you on the spot, Lewis,
I think it's going to be that right wing back position, isn't it? I think whilst Rob Apter's had a fantastic start to the season, by the way, playing an unfamiliar position, I do think that the lack of depth there is a slight concern. I know we were linked with Foucault, weren't we, at the start of the window? Don't know if that's gone a little bit dead, but he seemed like an exciting prospect, exciting rumour. What is promising though is seeing Nathan Asimwe doing so well over at Wimbledon. Obviously, there's levels between League One and the Championship, but obviously that's someone for that position in the future. So for him to be developing well over there is really promising. But yeah, I think it's going to be, we've got about a week or so left of the window. I imagine whatever business we do now will be fine tuning, and I think that fine tuning would be that right wing back position. I wonder if we see a few more go out as well, but I think, as we said earlier in the show, like we've got competition now for places. We're having selection headaches. We've got some depth, which is great. I just think that area there's a slight concern on if there's an injury with Rob Apter or a bit of fatigue playing Saturday, Tuesday. The amount of runs and stuff he makes during games. He didn't stop against Bristol City, did he? So I think that for me would be the position that we target. So it'd be interesting to see if we go back in for Foucault or if we're looking at somebody completely different.
Excellent stuff. We heard about the loanies that have gone out then. So I think we may have spoke briefly about the gas man getting his goal over the weekend. And obviously Kahim Dixon, it sounds like he had a good game against Milton Keynes during the week. I'm sure everyone saw the one clip of him flicking the ball over a defender for his mate to only balloon it over the crossbar because he's a League Two footballer. But Kahim showed a bit of class there, and it sounds like he's done quite well. But Alex Mitchell going out this week, Tash, into a bit of a difficult situation with Plymouth, who ain't started very well at all. They're another one who I could have put on my list actually of sides that have been relegated the season before and are still struggling. What would you make of that? Could you have seen him being involved if he was in the building this year? There's a fair bit of cover. As you said earlier, the fact he went out made us think, oh, good, that means that Reece Burke is probably ready to come back soon. But yeah, I mean, do you see a future for Alex with us, Championship football? I mean, he never really got that chance at Millwall. He did okay last season. What would you think?
Yeah, I just genuinely think he's been unlucky. I thought when he first came in anyway, was it last summer? I thought it was the right sort of signing to be making someone that's got experience but still young. I think we were saying the other day, I can't believe how young he is. He's like 23. And I would have thought that he was 27. Sorry to age him. But no, I think he's just been unlucky. Like when he first started playing for us, that was at a period there where we were just adjusting a little bit, first half of the season, a little bit shaky, whatever. But after he lost that spot, it was just going to be very difficult to break that back line. I think he was always a strong option off the bench. You could always rely on him to do a good job. I didn't feel scared of him having the ball at his feet or if a cross came in. It didn't make me nervous like some of Charlton's defenders have done in the past. So I think he's a solid player. I just think the people in front of him, it's just going to be too difficult to move him. So it's important, obviously, as Jones was saying, like, getting these players, if clearly maybe we did want to sell him but no one wanted to buy him, but clearly the fact that he's gone out alone means that hopefully Jones sees something in him, and that it's just a case of him just needing to go and get some minutes under his belt and to stay fresh. It'd be the same for Kahim Dixon, him going out on loan. It's just a case of he's just young and he's not got that experience in the Championship, and Jones has done the right thing, unlike previous ownership situations where we've been in, where we kind of have to force like kids through to probably too early in these situations. We've got the nice option of being able to send people out on loan like Kahim. So I'm glad that he's gone out and clearly already enjoying it. And the gas man, it's not worked out for us last season. I hope when I left that maybe he would kick on, but that didn't happen. But if it works for him at Stevenage, then that's good. But yeah, I think it's all just a case of it not really working out for Mitchell. But you can see that he's still a part of it all. Like, it's not like he's sort of being casted to the side and he's not involved in things anymore. Like, he always, I know you shouldn't read too much into social media clips the club put out, but you can tell he's still a big part of the squad and a big personality in there. So yeah, I'm happy that he's going out and not just sort of sitting on the bench and waiting, because I think even you could argue that Zach Mitchell could go out on loan But yeah, there's just one too many centre backs in there, basically, which is a lovely problem to have.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's such a shame that it hasn't quite worked out for the Gas Man, because I think deep down that might be the best nickname we've ever had for a player. Just no one calls him Gasan anymore. Everyone just calls him the Gas Man. So hopefully, something goes really well for him at Stevenage. He comes back ready to power his way through the Championship, so we can live with one of the better nicknames we've ever had. Brazilians is absolutely shocked and appalled that he's 11 years older than Alex Mitchell. You wouldn't say it with them stood next to each other, because Alex Mitchell is so mature in the way he looks, and Charlie is not. I'm not saying Charlie's not, but Alex Mitchell does look a lot older than he is. The opposite of Nathan Jones, who no one would believe is like 52, 53. So that's an interesting point. So someone just put about Zach Mitchell. I mean, James saying maybe Jones wants to push Zach Mitchell. It sounds like if he does stay around, I mean, there's the option that he might go out on loan. But if he does stay around, Paul, can you see Zach being able to step up to Championship? Well, he's not had that big run of games, but he looks a decent player whenever I've seen him. But obviously the Championship is a different kettle of fish to asking someone to fill in at Southend in the FA Cup last season like he did.
Yeah, I mean, Zach is still, again, we've known of him and he's been around a fair while, but he's a very young footballer. And I think he's got a lot of really solid attributes. I mean, I think he's played defensive midfield as well. So, he's comfortable on the ball. He's pretty strong defensively. But I think at Championship level right now, if you were to have to rely on him week in, week out, I'd be a bit concerned about how naive he might be positionally. It's just awareness, playing those kind of players with a bit of guile around them. So I don't think he'd be ready for week in, week out football. But at some point, if you're not going to loan them out, you're going to have to just have confidence and give them their shot if you've got an injury for a game or two. And I think I think Burke's actually really quite key to our defense this season, because I just can't believe we're going to be as lucky as to have Jones and Ramsey fit all of the time. Inevitably, you're going to get knocks, and that's when you need Burke to come in, who looks quite an elegant footballer. I mean, for those that saw the Dartford game, and I know he didn't play the entire game, but what we saw, albeit against non-league opposition, he was a really comfortable, elegant footballer for a centre-back, and you can just see the sort of quality that he has got in his game. So you need a player like him who, if Zach is in and around, can only help him as well. So I think it's good that he's sticking around. I'd be very surprised if we let him out on loan, because I just don't think we'll have enough depth in defence if we let him out on loan. I can see somebody being let out on loan up front, whether that's DK or Mbik maybe, but I can't see it in defence. And if Zach comes in, we'll just get behind him and hopefully he'll prove his worth. But I'd be a bit nervous about a long run of games, because I just think that lack of experience at this level, he might find a bit challenging at this stage. So I'd have probably preferred he went out on loan for a spell, to be honest.
Yeah, Paul Davenport says Burke's certainly got an elegant quiff. Okay, a lot of chat about players' appearances in today's show, which is not normally something we go for, but there we go. Lewis, we ain't got long left, so I'm just looking at the start of the season now. So we've got QPR coming up. Then I think it's the international. Obviously, we've got a League Cup game against Cambridge, which isn't massively on my agenda for being too concerned about. We've got QPR, then we've got Millwall after these two games. I mean, if we can get 5 games unbeaten, and especially considering we're playing Millwall, and that'd be an absolute miracle, of course. And that would be one hell of a start, and it would be such a good base to build from for the rest of the season, confidence, all that sort of stuff. If a good start, we always say is going to be important, but we've had one already now, so now we just need to keep extending it for as long as possible, and that will really, really set us up quite nicely for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think the next couple of games for us, Leicester, we've spoken about. QPR again, not made the greatest of starts. Going there, another sold out away end will make it difficult for them, like we did for Bristol. Then we've got the break. And then going into the Millwall game off the back of a week off, obviously there's going to be a lot of eyes on that and trying to end the hoodoo as such. Which I just feel like if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Nathan and this team. Like, you don't want to get ahead of it, but I just fancy it this time. I don't know why. I say it every time, don't I? Never happens. And And then after that, we've got Sheffield United away and Blackburn at home before another break. So I think that it'd be interesting to see where we are when it comes October, that October international break. Because I think there's no reason why we can't go into this international break unbeaten, in my opinion. Then you've got the test of Millwall that we know about. We've got the hoodoo against them. That game will be what it will be. And then we've got another couple of, Sheffield United away haven't made the best start. May come back from the international break a bit refreshed, but maybe a good time to play them too. And then Blackburn at home, who I'd fancy. So I think it'll be there's no reason why I don't think we can go into this break unbeaten, which sounds mental given that we've just come up. I also have a bit of confidence coming into the next batch of fixtures as well. I think it'll be a good, a real marker of where we are and where potentially we'll be come May. After when we get to October, seeing how we get on in some of those games.
Yeah, well, last time we came up, to be fair, we were unbeaten at the first international break, which was after 6 games that time. I can't really remember what happened after that, but I'm sure it was fine. James says Rodwell's quiff wins the quiff off. I think he's Jim Rodwell is a very well presented man indeed. I think one of the best dressed people I've ever seen floating about. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Right, this has been a interesting show. Clearly things are going well because we're talking about how well everyone's dressed in their hair, so that's a good sign. But thanks to everyone who's joined us on the show this evening in the chat. I hope you've enjoyed it. It was good to hear from Jack from the Final Whistle as well. Gave us some good insight into Leicester City, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out Saturday, because they don't sound massively confident. But yeah, great. Thanks for everyone who's joined in with the questions and that. Paul, Lewis, and Tash, been an absolute pleasure as always.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Lovely.
Cheers. Thank you. Sorry.
Lovely, jubbly. There we go. Right, I'm Louis Mendez. This has been Charlton Live, the big match preview, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. Don't forget, we'll be back on Sunday morning to look back at the game against Leicester, live on YouTube at 10 a.m. We shall see you then. Don't forget, 10 a.m. is the time that the pub, the River Ale House, is opening on Saturday. So get there nice and early for your pints before the game. We shall see you later.